All right, so here we go. So yes, the Diablo 4 devs just responded about key beta questions. Pets after launch, will that be a thing? Drop rate changes for the open beta. World boss schedule will differ in the full version of the game. Can you even sync story progression in co-op? And so much more. There are a ton of questions answered here from the dev team. Also, we're going to be talking about some advice when it comes to accidentally skipping a legendary drop and not picking it up, especially in dungeons. How do you retrieve it? And a big warning about having big parts of the story spoiled because of menu options in the beta. You'll want to avoid these menus to keep the game completely spoiler-free. And if you missed it, I did a recent video about the 6th class leak. Some really cool stuff there, plus a ton of official news in that video as well from Blizzard, so check it out on the channel. All right, so we're going to start right here with a critical update about the beta. It says expectations for the Diablo 4 open beta. This comes from the community manager of Diablo 4, and at first he thanks us for participating in the beta and that it is really going to be helping with the launch. But let's get into the really important stuff right here. It says, with your help, we learned a lot during our early access beta weekend. We intend to learn a lot more this weekend during our open beta, and we want to talk to you all about what you can expect and how your participation directly impacts Diablo 4's development. All right, queue times, oh boy. So it says, when we open the gates again this Friday to absolutely everyone, we are expecting a lot of people. There will be lengthy queue times, particularly on Friday when we first launch and during peak regional windows. This past weekend helped us to forecast the capacity we expect this weekend, and we'll be using that capacity to intentionally stress our systems in preparation for launch. In summary, while we know it can be frustrating, we need to do queues to properly stress test our services, and we are designing to ensure we have them some of the time. So yes, expect problems. Maybe, I don't know if we're going to have more problems this weekend since there's going to be so many more people, but they're really trying to test their preparedness weekend over weekend. And of course, this is going to be the ultimate test for launch. Let's see how it goes. Now, next up, it says this, maintenance. As we monitor the population or encounter in-game issues to address, there may be times when we will take the game offline temporarily to deploy infrastructure adjustments or fixes. Now that's going to be a bummer if they're going to be taking it offline during actual beta times. I hope if they do take it offline, they consider extending the beta. Furthermore, they say this right here, bugs and feedback. When you are in-game, whether you're continuing to build your character from last weekend or trying Druid or Necromancer for the first time, we want to hear from you. The team will be monitoring the forums where they are dedicated sections for bug reporting and technical support for PC and console. So yeah, just give your feedback. They go on to, of course, thank you all. And of course, this is Act 1 only, and there's a lot more to this game at launch. So I'm curious to see how the dungeons hold up and how this game goes in the in-game. But yeah, let's get into more questions from the community and answers from the dev team. So check this out right here. Are characters from early access beta carrying over to this weekend, asks Catherine. And we have a reply from Adam Fletcher, community manager of Diablo 4, who says, yep. So yeah, that's good news. So you can have a sigh of relief if you want to continue your barbarian, rogue, or sorcerer. Go for it. Furthermore, we have this one from Unknown Foul, who says, can you guys please confirm if drop rates are increased for the beta? It takes a simple yes or no and alleviates some concerns people have. So get this. This is actually an interesting response from the dev team. Rod Ferguson says, they are tuned higher, yes, to give a fuller experience and better test during the beta. So we should be seeing some more significant drops in this beta period. Will that stay the same during launch or be pulled back? That's going to come back to, the analytics they find based on what's going on this upcoming weekend. Now, Hasselpuff, Poof, says this, will story quest progress be saved for all players in a group? Currently, only the party host got the progress saved while the others still had to redo everything. The other got the completion rewards, but still had to do the quests themselves. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer, and it makes it somewhat difficult to really keep on the same page. Now, the confirmation is this. Players got to be on the exact same quest and point to sync. So you have to be basically all caught up in your, I suppose you would say, in your single player story. before you hop online with your buddy, you guys need to be in sync on the same mission for it to basically sync up. So that's how that works. Now, your Amer says this right here. Question: this baby dog or wolf will grow and help me in combat? Oh man, that'd be so cool. So if you don't know what he's talking about, of course, there's that beta reward. A little doggy here. It's a cosmetic reward, which everyone will receive if you hit level 20. Now, let's get into the response about this one right here. Does the dog grow up and join us in combat? Rod Ferguson says no, but as a druid, you can have wolves helping you. But wait, there's more to this story. So we have another question kind of related to pets. So check it out right here. Aldo says, hey Rod, are we going to have pets in-game like Diablo 3? Maybe you mentioned it somewhere, maybe I missed it. And get this, this is the response from Rod Ferguson, who goes on to say, not at launch. So that is not a firm no whatsoever. So I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, they are thinking ahead here, and we will see pets eventually in Diablo 4, which would be really, really cool. I hope they actually consider doing that. That would be so cool. And also have pets that you can customize or something like that with armor. Man, so much potential there. Furthermore, we have I Am, who says, I know we are not keeping our beta characters. What about clans created during the beta? Great question. That's actually a feature I didn't get to test out. Now, Rod Ferguson says, no, sorry, full wipe with exception of unlocked rewards. So at least you get to keep your rewards, but the clan will have to be recreated at launch. Furthermore, we have Inklined, who says, could you share information on whether the beta build that we played is based on the game's latest state or an older version without going into too much detail? Would love to hear some little info. Thanks. And the response from Rod says this, older version. So right now, what we will be playing in this beta is actually considered an outdated version as to what the team has internally. People trying to download that patch and the beta. So yeah. All right, so some really key information here about if you miss out on a legendary in a dungeon, where does it go? So basically, it goes to your stash according to this. It says if you miss a legendary in a dungeon, it gets sent to your stash. I noticed a cool feature over the weekend. A legendary I had dropped and yet to pick up in my dungeon was sent to my stash. I was playing a dungeon with some friends and we were split up, completing the objectives. I looked on my map and I had a legendary star quite far away from my current location. I teleported back to town and then used my friend's portal to quickly get to the location in the dungeon where the star was showing. When I got back into the dungeon, the legendary was gone and the star no longer appeared on the map. I thought this was kind of odd, that the game would despawn any legendary items on the ground. Rare and magic items were still scattered throughout the map when I returned, but didn't think much of it after that. Well, after the dungeon, I went to my stash to deposit a few other items I had found, and lo and behold, I had a new legendary in my stash, which also had a message on it saying I had missed it. So I don't know, I haven't really tracked this myself or have this happen to me yet, but I'm hoping the game kind of notifies you, hey, there's a new legendary in your stash right when you enter town, because that seems to be extremely important. But yeah, he goes on to say this right here, this is a neat feature which might make, splitting up and doing dungeon runs a bit quicker, since you won't have to worry about backtracking to pick up your legendary items. We know there's enough of that. In Diablo 3, when your group was split up and speeding through rifts, there were many times when a player would have to teleport or run across the map to pick up loot. So yeah, this is a neat little feature. I definitely recommend for now, especially during the open beta period, to check your stash quite often, just in case you did accidentally miss a legendary, especially if you are playing cooperative play, because I'm thinking that this might happen and be more commonplace in co-op for some reason. Also, we got to talk about story spoilers. Yes, you can accidentally spoil major parts of the story by going into one of the menus. So check it out. It says, be careful and don't get spoiled in the open beta. Don't read too much stuff in the achievements tab. There are huge story spoilers there. I got spoiled, so you don't enjoy the weekend. Ah, man, I hate when things get spoiled like that. I remember going into a movie, checking my Twitter real quickly, scrolling down, boom, the movie that I was about to see was spoiled big time. And yeah, I've learned not to do that at all before going to see a movie. But yeah, I get where this guy is coming from. So yeah, you've been warned right there to be very mindful about that achievement menu, especially in the Diablo 4 beta, and even when it comes to the full version of the game. All right, this is it. It's time for your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video. So my most recent video was about, this is it, new beta update, 6th class leak, and in-game leaks, which a lot of you guys might have missed the leaks about those. It's interesting because we could be getting the Paladin in the future, which would be really, really cool. Some of you think it's the Valkyrie or some sort of Holy Warrior, Holy Knight. Man, that would be cool if they added Holy Warriors into the game. It would add a really cool element to the game, in my opinion. But anyway, Eric goes on to say this. You can definitely feel the lack of Paladin, Crusader, Valkyrie when playing the open beta. The Necro being the only shield using class feels very strange, and the holy war between the Burning Hells and High Heaven, especially manifest through Lilith and Narius, is front and center in the story. So yeah, it definitely, I do agree in that sense. Absolutely, it does feel like we're missing our holy warrior, I guess you would say, with the class choices. But Paladin would definitely be like my top pick for this, with the shield and the spear. That would be so cool to see in the game. Now, Mark goes on to say this right here. Highly unlikely there will be an Amazon added, as it's more likely they changed it into the Rogue. Interesting. Of their own admission, the Rogue is a hybrid Amazon assassin. Given the artwork showing a Paladin wielding a spear, they may take the Amazon spear skills and move them to a Paladin, a bit like the Diablo 3 Merc. Interesting theory. I think you could be onto something there. That would actually be cool. I think that would work. Although I will admit the sound of the Amazon type character sounds very intriguing to me still. Perhaps they could somehow pull it off and make them unique enough. Now, Neuro says the following right here. Imagine a nightmare sigil that turns an ordinary dungeon into a never-ending procedurally generated multi-level dungeon. The further down you go, the harder it gets, the more rewards you get increases as well. That could be cool. Hell yes, dude. I'm loving the sound of that. I wish you were on the dev team giving them these ideas. I don't know the technical limitations to this or if this is even possible, but from what they have said in recent interviews, what they want the dungeons to be about is kind of exploring the open world. They don't want you to be kind of like in one dungeon all the time. They want you to be in the overworld, I guess you would call it, exploring, taking on side activities, being hunted down by the butcher, going after world bosses, going into different zones, experiencing, the side quests, and then running into those dungeons along the way. That's kind of, it sounds like, what they want from this game. Now, Chicken Wings says, would love it if Blizzard developed an API for the game, let the community do a lot of the heavy lifting for creating useful quality of life features like loot filters, moving stuff to and from the stash, saving loadouts, etc. Can you imagine if they had like an offline button where you can click offline and then they're like, we're doing major mod tools for the community? Can you imagine the life that would breathe into this game? Of course, they want to do their own thing with season passes, and DLC and expansions and things like that. But a lot of the most successful games really live on the modding community, like Fallout, Skyrim, and things like that. And it's such a shame that we don't have that sort of support here for Diablo. Man, that'd be cool. But anyway, there it is. The latest happenings around Diablo 4. Stay tuned for more. I got you guys in the know about all things Diablo. And of course, open world gaming goodness, because there's going to be a ton of really cool stuff coming up here in 2023 and beyond. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.